You suck. You are fat. You are a joke. You are stupid. We are going to look back on the MAGA movement as the biggest scam in American history. And the liberals were right.
I really thought this would never happen, but here we are. The furthest right of far-right Trump supporters has now turned on him in a dramatic way. And related to that is a J.D. Vance clip, an old J.D. Vance clip, that is now going viral. So I'm going to get to both of those clips and just what is going on here, because there is actually finally, it appears to be, a real turning point in the Trump administration where there is a clear split, a lot of MAGA, and I at least in terms of the far-right public supporters with a platform, a lot of them are very critical of Trump right now over the fact that he is unwilling to say anything more about the Epstein case. For, I think, an obvious reason. We'll get to that in a minute. But, like, there's actually a split here. They actually care about an issue. They don't care about the mass deportations. They don't care about the mass atrocities being committed in Gaza with the support of the U.S. government. They don't care about the fact that nobody can afford anything. But they do care about this case, which, to be clear, is an important case. It's just, I don't know. I'm surprised that this that there's actually something, you could argue a policy issue here that they are concerned about and are critical that Trump is not doing enough on it. So to first get to this J.D. Vance clip, this was a tweet from J.D. Vance back in December 2021, where he said, "What possible interest would the U.S. government have in keeping Epstein's clients secret?" Oh, he replied to his own tweet, saying this: "If you're a journalist and you're not asking questions about this case, you should be ashamed of yourself. What purpose do you even serve? I'm sure there's a middle-class teenager somewhere who could use some harassing right now, but maybe try to do your job once in a while." Yet, if you look at the times that Trump is talking to the press now and they're asking questions about Epstein, Trump is very annoyed at all of those questions in a way that you rarely see him actually get bothered by a question. And when he gets bothered by a question, you know there is something else to it. So this gets to this J.D. Vance clip. This is on Theo Vaughn's podcast, and it's really quick. I'll just play it in the window.
Release the list.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
What happened? What happened? In fact, I wonder what happened. Here is the various things that happened. I mean, this was, I've done a few videos on this story now. It's honestly getting exhausting to a point because this is all so obvious and clear. This was clear before the election. Trump was a close friend of Epstein. Epstein is on tape saying that Trump was one of his closest friends. There's all these images, videos. He's obviously a part of this. Somewhere he's in those files. Clearly. Now, even Theo Vaughn came out replying to that video saying, "Yeah, what changed?" So this is the one issue that appears to be breaking through to everyone. Trump supporters, this is the Guardian story. Trump supporters burn MAGA hats after he dismisses Epstein files fear as hoax. So just a quick
MAGA
clip of this.
hats are off. America First hats are on.
So I guess there's several videos of people just cooking their MAGA hats. All right. Now, this, it's permeating. Laura Loomer, who is still defending Trump, is still very closely associated with him. But even she is admitting that this is an issue, saying that this could consume the Trump presidency, saying, quote, "Obviously, this is not a complete hoax, given the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell is currently serving 20 years in prison in Florida for her crimes and activities with Jeffrey Epstein, who we know is a convicted sexual predator. This is why I said, and I'll reiterate again, the best thing that the president can do is appoint a special counsel to handle the Epstein files investigation." He, of course, is not going to do that. He already said he's not going to do that. Again, I wonder why. Let's go back to that J.D. Vance post. What possible interest would the U.S. government have in keeping Epstein's clients secret? Oh, so the ultimate clip. This is so hilarious. This is Nick Fuentes, the furthest of far-right supporters that Trump has. Here are his thoughts.
And now he says, if you're not on board with the Epstein cover-up, oh, I don't want your support. You're a weakling. Fuck you. Fuck you. You suck. You are fat. You are a joke. You are stupid. You are not funny. You are not as smart as you think you are. You are, and honestly, and if you watch my show, you know I've been very critical. I've never been this far. This just goes to show this entire thing has been a scam. When we look back on the history of populism in America, we are going to look back on the MAGA movement as the biggest scam in American history. And the liberals were right. The MAGA supporters were had. They were. When we look back in history, we will see Trump as a scam artist who served as a vehicle for this rather than the other way around. We were not the vehicle for Trump. Trump was the vehicle for all of us.
All right, before I get to my theory as to maybe what is going on here, this is absolutely hilarious. You are fat. You are a joke. You're stupid. You're not funny. We are going to look back on the MAGA movement as the biggest scam in history. All of this was clear before. It didn't have to get to this point. So this gets to what I maybe think is going on here. And that is, these people realize that at some point, this administration is going to come to an end. At some point, Trump is no longer going to be the president. And they understand how disastrous he is on every single issue. And they don't want to be associated with that in the history books looking back at this. Oh, who was backing Trump back then? Oh, well, these people denounced him. No, you brought him a second term. So we should all be clear about who led Trump to this point and who has been calling him out the entire time. These people that supported him this up till now do not get an easy out because all of a sudden now they're turning on him. Now, in the immediate, maybe it has an impact. Look, I don't know what Nick Fuentes' audience actually is. To me, it often seems like he gets more attention than he actually deserves. That said, I do think it's sort of a canary in the coal mine where, hey, if he's saying this, it's very likely a lot of people are feeling that. You know, we saw the Burning MAGA hats, but again, it's like 4 people. So it's hard to really know the actual impact of this on Trump going into the future and, you know, potential elections. That said, it has an impact so far more than anything else I have seen in a way that is almost bizarre to me because they let him get away with everything else. Anything else that's going wrong, it's someone else's fault. Yet this issue, they are actually, I want to say holding his feet to the fire, but I'm not sure if that's the right term here because they're not necessarily doing that. But they are recognizing that Trump is a part of the problem here. And they are not trying to blame somebody else. At least most of them are. There are the occasional. I saw Glenn Beck try and put the blame on Pam Bondi as if she's the one pulling the strings here. So, you know, there's going to be attempts to try and blame someone else around Trump. But a lot of them are like Nick Fuentes, where they're just pointing out, hey, this guy is the problem. So will this continue is the real question. Because we've seen criticisms before. Nick Fuentes has criticized Trump before, maybe not to this degree. But they always go back. They do this, and then Trump's he's a genius. He did it again. So how long will this last? I'm actually impressed. This has lasted up to about 2 weeks so far. We're going to see if this continues. That's the biggest question here. But if it does, I mean, this may actually be a real shift in the Trump support base to a point where it could actually impact him going into the midterms and into a future election.